Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Gardener. I hope you guys are fine and are safe. So I just wanted to quickly show you how the succulents tend to change the color and how the pigment starts to come in. Now this succulent, when I purchased, it was completely green in color, because this is the lower leaves. You can see they were like completely mint green in color. And the upper portion, the crown area, what you see is the new growth, and it is starting to come out with the colors, because of course Echeverias are getting into their dormant period. Now not all of my Echeverias go dormant. Like as I said, in my city dormancy is not very strict. Some succulents do show the signs of dormancy, some don't. Now the typical sign of dormancy is that the leaves start to close inwards, and the other most important thing is that the succulents start putting on this colors. Now if I'm going to take the camera a little bit more closer and I'm going to zoom on the leaves, you will be able to see these red anthocyanin pigments that are starting to show up. They kind of look like a fingerprint, but slowly from the edges they are going to start turning red. You can see the edges are already red, but if you're going to take a closer look, the tip tends to look completely red, but now the anthocyanins are slowly starting to cover up the entire leaf, fragments of the pigment turning red in color, and eventually the entire thing is going to connect to the crown area. So the entire succulent is going to turn reddish in color, but this is the initial process of how it starts. You can see in some leaves it is not very visible, but in some of the leaves, because this is the place where it gets a lot of direct sunlight, probably here a little bit less light. So the ones that are facing towards the sun, because the sun light tends to fall directly over here, and these are the ones that do not receive like a lot of light, but they do get indirect bright light, but not a lot of it. But this portion over here that you see, this portion tends to get that direct sunlight. So these are starting to get that anthocyanin pigment much faster compared to the ones that are at the back. At the back as well, it is starting off, but it's very minimum as compared to what it is in the front portion of it. So you can see how beautiful the pigments start to show up. So eventually the entire green on this succulent will vanish, and it's going to completely get red in color. Now I'm not very sure about what exactly is the ID of this succulent, because the seller did not have an ID for it, and it didn't even look like what it's looking right now. It was completely green in color, and even the tips were not much visible at that point of time. But the ones with the new growth, you can see the tips are much more visible and much more prominent compared to what it was earlier. Probably during transportation or during the transit, the tips might have broken because they are very delicate. But now when the new growth is starting to come up, you can see there is more of those tips. The tips are more evident, and the color is also starting to show up. Always the newer leaves will have the pigment, because the succulent is already exposed to direct sunlight. But as and when the succulent starts to turn much more red in color, I'll definitely make an update video. But this is how it tends to look right now, the initial start. So guys, I hope that you liked this video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep planting.